High in the thin air, where the world seems to balance between earth and sky, a kingdom of stone rises like the bones of the planet itself. Towering cliffs carve shadows across the landscape, and icy winds sweep down from peaks crowned with snow, even in midsummer. Up here, the silence is ancient. It echoes in the hollows of the mountains, broken only by the distant rumble of falling rock or the whisper of wind brushing across jagged ridgelines. It is a place that feels almost untouched, a world sculpted by time and ruled by extremes. And somewhere within this vertical wilderness, a figure moves with quiet certainty, elegant, powerful, and fearless. Perched upon ledges so narrow they seem to vanish into the cliff face, the mountain goat appears almost supernatural. To the untrained eye, it seems impossible that any creature could live here, let alone thrive. Yet this remarkable animal does more than merely survive. It dominates these heights with a grace that defies gravity itself. Known scientifically as Oreamnos americanus, the mountain goat is neither a true goat nor a domestic relative of the farm animals we know. It belongs to its own unique branch of the ungulate family, a specialist crafted by evolution to master the vertical world. With their snowy coats and muscular builds, mountain goats are some of the most iconic inhabitants of North America's alpine wilderness. They are living symbols of strength and balance, able to climb near vertical cliffs that would halt almost any other animal on Earth. Their resilience borders on the unbelievable. They weather blizzards that would freeze a human within minutes, endure oxygen-thin peaks that leave most creatures gasping, and raise their young on slopes where a single misstep can mean the end. But what makes these animals truly extraordinary is not just their ability to climb, it is where they choose to live. Mountain goats inhabit some of the harshest, steepest, and most remote terrains across western North America. From Alaska's snow-drowned coastlines to the rugged peaks of the Rocky Mountains, they dwell in a world defined by extremes. Here, temperatures swing violently. Storms sweep through without warning, and vegetation is sparse, surviving only in pockets where soil clings stubbornly to the rock. Yet for the mountain goat, this realm of danger is sanctuary. The mountains protect them from predators, give them vantage points over vast distances, and provide a life far from the interference of lowland creatures, including humans. Geographically, mountain goats are found almost exclusively in alpine and subalpine ranges. They occupy elevations from 1,500 to nearly 4,000 meters, 5,000 to 13,000 feet, though their preferred habitat is often far higher, where the world turns cold even in the heart of summer. In winter, heavy snow pushes them slightly downward to slopes where vegetation is still accessible. But as soon as the storms pass and the snows begin to melt, the goats return to their dizzying heights, their true home, above the forests, above the valleys, above almost everything. Season defines survival in this vertical world. In summer, the mountains burst with life. Tiny alpine flowers bloom between rocks, meadows glow with brief warmth, and streams rush with meltwater. Mountain goats take advantage of this short season, feeding on grasses, herbs, and shrubs while the land is generous. Their movements follow the rhythm of growth, often climbing ever higher as new plants emerge on melting slopes. But when the first frost arrives, sometimes as early as late August, everything changes. Winds sharpen, clouds drag across the peaks like torn fabric. Temperatures drop rapidly, and snow begins to reclaim the land. In this season, the mountains transform into a place of scarcity and danger. Food becomes harder to find, storms become more frequent, and ice turns familiar paths into treacherous gauntlets. Yet the mountain goat remains. Its thick, double-layered coat grows even denser. Its body conserves energy, and its instincts guide it to sheltered cliffs and slopes where winter's grip is slightly less severe. It is in this interplay of seasons, the brief abundance of summer, and the long austerity of winter, that the mountain goat story unfolds. Every aspect of its life is shaped by the land it inhabits. To understand these animals, one must first understand their world. A landscape sculpted by glaciers, battered by storms, and elevated so high that the sky seems almost within reach. And so, before we follow the mountain goat through its daily challenges, its physical marvels, and its remarkable resilience, we must descend deeper into the environment that made it what it is, a creature forged in the crucible of stone and sky. To understand this animal's resilience, we must first explore the world it calls home.
The world of the mountain goat is a place few creatures dare to enter. It is a realm built not for comfort, but for endurance. A landscape where every contour tells a story of upheaval, erosion, and time. The habitat stretches across some of the most dramatic mountain ranges in North America: the Rockies, the Cascades, the coast mountains of British Columbia, and the icy spines of Alaska. Each region offers its own variation of the alpine world, yet all share the same defining traits: altitude, exposure, and the relentless presence of stone. At first glance, these heights appear barren, a frozen desert suspended in the sky. But to the mountain goat, the cliffs, peaks, and ledges form a complex network of resources. The climate here is unforgiving. Winters are long and brutal, with temperatures plummeting far below freezing and winds strong enough to sculpt snow into waves of ice. Summers, though short, bring flashes of life: meadows carpeted with dwarf flowers, bursts of green along melting slopes, and a brief abundance of insects and small vertebrates. The vegetation of this ecosystem reflects its resilience. Alpine plants must endure intense sunlight, thin soils, rapid temperature shifts, and constant exposure to harsh weather. Mosses cling to cool, shaded crevices. Lichens pattern the rocks in muted yellows and greens. Hardy grasses and sedges anchor themselves wherever soil allows, and patches of alpine wildflowers, purple asters, yellow cinquefoil, and pink heather brighten the slopes in the fleeting warmth of midsummer. Each plant grows slowly, conserving energy and adapting to survive conditions that would wither more delicate species. Mountain goats rely on this vegetation for sustenance, but they are not the only creatures that inhabit the alpine zone. Although life here is sparse, every species plays a role in the intricate web that binds the ecosystem together. Hoary marmots whistle from boulder fields, keeping watch for predators. Pikas, tiny relatives of rabbits, gather mouthfuls of grasses to dry into winter stores. Ptarmigans shuffle through patches of snow, their plumage changing color with the seasons to remain hidden. And soaring overhead, golden eagles trace wide circles in the thin air, scanning for movement on the slopes below. Predators rarely follow mountain goats into the steepest cliffs, but they patrol the surrounding terrain. Wolves roam forested valleys at lower elevations. Cougars stalk the edges of rocky outcrops, and black bears and grizzlies search for food across a wide range of habitats. Among these hunters, the golden eagle poses perhaps the most surprising threat, not to adults, but to newborn kids navigating their earliest days on unsteady legs. The presence of predators shapes the behavior of the goats, influencing where they graze, how they move, and how tightly mothers guard their young. Within this environment, the mountain goat occupies a unique ecological niche. It is both grazer and climber, foraging in places few other herbivores can reach. By feeding on high-elevation vegetation, goats help shape the plant communities of the Alpine zone. Their grazing patterns influence which species dominate, how quickly plants recover after snowmelt, and how nutrients cycle across the rocky landscape. As they move from slope to slope, goats also disperse seeds and minerals, subtly altering the composition of their habitat. But their ecological influence extends beyond their diet. Mountain goats loosen soil as they climb, creating small disturbances where new plants can take root. Their droppings fertilize nutrient-poor areas, providing essential support to organisms that depend on these rare boosts of organic material. Even their presence on the cliffs offers opportunities to scavengers and predators alike, forming the basis of intricate ecological relationships that ripple across the alpine ecosystem. But still, for all the quiet interactions that define this environment, the mountains themselves remain the dominant force. The land is always changing. Avalanches reshape slopes in sudden bursts of power, sweeping away vegetation and creating new openings for colonizing plants. Rockslides carve fresh paths through the cliffs, altering shortcuts and resting spots the goats have used for generations. Meltwater from glaciers and snowfields cuts deep channels into the stone, feeding streams that surge through valleys far below. Mountain goats have evolved to navigate this shifting world with confidence. Their extraordinary climbing abilities allow them to escape predators, reach new feeding grounds, and traverse landscapes too dangerous for most animals. Their connection to the cliffs is not simply behavioral. It is ecological. The vertical world gives them refuge, food, and territory. In return, they contribute to the rhythm of life that persists in these seemingly barren heights. Other animals depend indirectly on the presence of goats. Golden eagles, for instance, often patrol goat habitat during birthing seasons, aware of the vulnerability of young kids. Scavengers such as ravens and foxes take advantage of carcasses left behind by accidents or predators. Even alpine insects benefit from the nutrient-rich patches of vegetation that flourish where goats frequently graze. But this balance is delicate. The alpine ecosystem operates on a fine margin of survival. Plants grow slowly and take years to recover from disturbance. Animals expend enormous energy simply staying warm and finding food. Weather can shift with little warning, turning a calm afternoon into a blinding storm within minutes. In such a world, every adaptation counts, and every species must play its part in the larger ecological story. To thrive here is to embrace risk. The cliffs are sanctuary, but they are also perilous. A misstep can mean death. A sudden rockslide can wipe away familiar paths. An early snowstorm can bury the last available forage. Mountain goats live in constant negotiation with the land, relying on instinct, agility, and experience to read the mountains, their moods, their dangers, their offerings. And so the goat's habitat is not merely a backdrop. It is the defining element of its existence, shaping its behavior, its evolution, and its role in the greater web of life. But survival here is never simple. The land itself can be as much a predator as any living creature.
To truly understand the mountain goat, we must look beyond its impressive presence on the cliffs and examine the remarkable design that allows it to thrive where almost no other large mammal can survive. Every part of its body, from the tips of its horns to the edges of its hooves, has been honed through millennia of evolution. These adaptations are not merely advantageous, they are essential. Without them, life on the vertical world would be impossible. The first adaptation most people notice is the mountain goat's thick, luminous coat.
At a glance, it looks soft, almost cloud-like, especially in winter, when the outer guard hairs grow long and shaggy, creating a halo of white around the animal. But beneath this exterior lies a dense layer of wool-like underfur, capable of trapping heat with extraordinary efficiency. This dual-layer system can insulate the goat from temperatures that plunge far below freezing, even when winds howl across the peaks at hurricane force. In summer, the goats shed this heavy mantle in ragged sheets, rubbing against rocks and tree trunks to reveal a sleeker form adapted for warmer days. But warmth is only one part of their evolutionary story. More crucial to their survival among cliffs is their astonishing anatomy, designed not for speed across open plains, but for precision on perilous slopes. Each mountain goat's hoof is a masterpiece of natural engineering. Split into two toes, the hooves can spread wide to improve balance, gripping irregular surfaces like fingers. Their outer edges are sharp and hard, acting like miniature climbing tools capable of catching even the smallest projections on rock. Beneath them lies a soft, rubbery pad that molds subtly to the surface beneath it, providing traction on wet, icy, or crumbly terrain. These specialized hooves allow the goats to scale inclines as steep as 60 degrees and traverse cliffs that seem impossible even to experienced mountaineers. Complementing their hooves are strong forelimbs and shoulders built to pull their weight upward without hesitation. The musculature of a mountain goat is dense and compact, optimized for explosive bursts of strength rather than long-distance speed. Their center of gravity is low, allowing them to maintain stability while moving across narrow ledges or leaping between outcrops. Even the shape of their bodies, shorter torsos, powerful hindquarters, and relatively small heads maximize balance and reduce the risk of tipping on precarious slopes. Their senses are equally sharpened for life in the mountains. Mountain goats have excellent vision, capable of spotting predators or potential footholds from remarkable distances. Their field of view extends widely, allowing them to stay aware of danger even while climbing. Hearing and smell also play important roles, especially during the mating season, when goats rely on scent cues to locate potential partners across broad and rugged territories. But perhaps the most surprising adaptation is one that can't be seen: their internal physiology. Life at high elevation means coping with low oxygen levels, harsh winds, and sudden storms. Mountain goats possess elevated red blood cell counts, enabling them to transport oxygen efficiently in thin air. Their lungs are large relative to their body size, and their metabolism can adjust rapidly to shifts in temperature and activity. Even their digestive system is tailored for scarcity. They can extract nutrients from tough alpine plants, digesting fibrous foods that many other animals would find unpalatable or nearly useless. Yet for all these physical marvels, the behavior of the mountain goat tells just as compelling a story. In the daily rhythm of alpine life, goats follow a careful routine shaped by energy balance, weather conditions, and predator avoidance. Early mornings often find them grazing on exposed slopes where dew and meltwater soften vegetation. They feed deliberately, cropping grasses, herbs, sedges, and shrubs with practiced efficiency. Because food is limited at high elevations, mountain goats must maximize every opportunity, sometimes traveling long distances across cliffs and ridges to reach new feeding zones. During the heat of midday, especially in summer, goats often retreat to cooler, windswept ledges. These vantage points offer not only relief from the sun, but a strategic view of approaching predators. Resting on narrow outcrops might seem risky, but for the goats, these locations are safe havens. Few predators can follow them into such exposed positions. Grooming is another important part of their daily life. Mountain goats regularly rub against rocks to remove shedding hair, itchiness, or parasites. Their grooming habits help keep their coat healthy and functional, especially during the seasonal transition from winter to summer. When it comes to social structure, the mountain goat defies some expectations. They are not solitary, but they do not form large or stable herds like deer or bighorn sheep. Instead, their society is flexible, shifting with age, season, and reproductive status. Females, known as nannies, and their offspring often form small, loose groups. These clusters provide some protection, especially against predators like eagles or wolves. Young goats learn quickly from the adults, imitating their climbing techniques and grazing patterns. Adult males, called billies, tend to be more solitary outside of the breeding season. They roam wider areas, often occupying higher or more rugged terrain than the nannies. This separation reduces competition for food and minimizes conflict. But during the rut, the annual breeding season, social dynamics change dramatically. Billies descend from their solitary territories and seek out groups of females. Competition among males can be intense. They engage in displays of dominance, posturing with raised fur, lowered heads, and impressive horn presentations. Fights do occur, though fatal encounters are rare. Their battles are contests of strength, pushing and clashing with controlled force as each male attempts to win the right to mate. With their formidable horns, mountain goats use them sparingly. The curved, sharp black horns are tools for status and defense, but not instruments of aggression without reason. Kids, born in late spring or early summer, rely heavily on their mothers during their first weeks as they learn to navigate the cliffs. These young goats take their first steps with surprising confidence, instinctively seeking high ground even before they fully understand the dangers around them. Mountain goats also exhibit seasonal behavior patterns tied closely to survival. In summer, their days are filled with feeding, movement, and exploration of newly exposed ground. In winter, they conserve energy, seeking patches of accessible vegetation and using less exposed areas to shelter from storms. They move with purpose, reading the terrain with an intuition honed over generations. For the mountain goat, every decision is weighted by the demands of the alpine world. Their behavior is not simply about finding food or avoiding predators. It is about maintaining equilibrium in a landscape where the margin for error is razor thin. Yet the most fascinating part of this creature's life is not in the way it looks, but in the way it moves through the rhythm of the seasons.
In the Alpine kingdom, the seasons do not simply change, they dominate. For the mountain goat, each shift in weather reshapes life, altering the landscape, the food supply, and the very rules of survival. The mountains are never still, never gentle for long. To thrive here is to move in harmony with cycles of abundance and scarcity, warmth and cold, danger and opportunity. Summer arrives like an exhale from the earth. Snow retreats up the slopes, revealing patches of green that seem impossibly vibrant against the pale stone. Meadows come alive with hardy vegetation, and for a few precious months, the mountains feel abundant. For mountain goats, this brief season is a time of growth and preparation. They feed constantly, building the fat reserves necessary to survive the long winter ahead. Newborn kids, only weeks old, bound across rocky slopes with reckless enthusiasm. They must learn quickly. Every climb, jump, and misstep teaches them the language of the cliffs. Predators remain watchful during this time. Golden eagles patrol the skies, scanning for young goats whose hooves have not yet mastered the terrain. Wolves and cougars linger at lower elevations, taking advantage of the goats' occasional forays into slightly calmer ground in search of richer food patches. But even during these encounters, the mountain goat's agility offers a powerful advantage. Few predators can follow them up the sheer, fractured rock faces where the goats retreat when threatened. As summer fades, the first hints of autumn sweep across the peaks. The air cools, plants wither. The mountains seem to grow sharper, harder. For the goats, this is a warning. Food becomes more scattered, and grazing requires longer travel across treacherous terrain. The goats' coats begin to thicken once more, preparing them for the winter winds. By late autumn, storms arrive without ceremony. Snow falls in heavy drifts, sometimes burying feeding grounds overnight.
the landscape transforms from a mosaic of color to a monochrome world of white, gray, and shadow. Winter is the true test, an unrelenting season that exposes every weakness. Temperatures plunge far below zero, and winds scour the ridges with icy force. Food becomes scarce, often hidden beneath hardened snow. Mountain goats must rely on past experience, memory, and instinct to locate patches of exposed vegetation. They move less to conserve energy, often huddling on windswept ledges where the snow blows away, revealing small fragments of grass and sedge. These windy cliffs, inhospitable to most life, become winter sanctuaries for the goats. Their thick coats trap heat, their sturdiness shields them from the gusts, and the elevation keeps them safe from many predators. Wolves struggle to navigate the icy slopes. Cougars may venture upward, but the terrain works against them. The very cliffs that pose constant danger to the goats become their greatest defense. Yet even with all these adaptations, winter claims its share of lives. Young goats, still small and less insulated, are particularly vulnerable. Deep snow increases the risk of avalanches, and hidden ice beneath the surface can turn familiar routes into lethal traps. A misjudged step can send even a skilled adult sliding down slopes where nothing can halt their fall. In winter, the mountain itself becomes a silent predator. As the season grinds on, the goats' resilience is tested daily. They time their movements carefully, taking advantage of short weather breaks between storms. They know which cliffs shed snow fastest, which slopes stay exposed, and which outcrops provide just enough shelter from the wind. Their survival depends on reading these subtle cues, a knowledge passed down through generations. By late winter, hunger is constant. Fat reserves shrink, movements slow. But when the sun finally climbs higher in the sky and the snow begins to recede, the goats respond with cautious optimism. Spring arrives gradually in the Alpine zone, often beginning with meltwater trickling down the rocks. Vegetation emerges timidly at first, but soon the meadows revive, offering the first fresh food in months. Spring is also the season of renewal for mountain goats. Nannies give birth to their kids, often choosing high, secluded cliffs far from predators. The timing is precise. Births coincide with the return of lush vegetation, giving mothers the nutrition they need to nurse and raise their young. The kids stand within minutes of birth, wobbling but determined. By the end of their first day, they follow their mothers across steep slopes with surprising skill, guided by instinct and constant vigilance. This period also marks the return of competition. As food becomes more plentiful, males and females mingle more often, and social dynamics reawaken. The goats begin to reclaim their summer territories, moving upward with the melting snow. Each animal reads the landscape, adjusting its movements to the rhythm of the season, a dance between opportunity and danger. Throughout the year, mountain goats also face natural threats beyond predators and weather. Rock slides can occur without warning, triggered by freezing and thawing cycles. Falling ice, unstable ledges, and sudden storms threaten even the most experienced climbers. Survival requires not only physical prowess, but adaptability and constant awareness. Every goat that lives into adulthood has earned its place through unwavering resilience. Yet even amid these harsh realities, mountain goats endure. Their strength lies not simply in their muscles or their hooves, but in their relationship with the mountains themselves. They are creatures shaped by extremes, molded by cliffs and storms, and guided by a profound instinct for survival. To live in the alpine world is to face daily trials that would overwhelm most animals. But for the mountain goat, these challenges are part of the rhythm of life. But no challenge is greater than the one brought by humankind.
For thousands of years, the mountain goat lived largely untouched in its alpine sanctuaries, high above the forests and far beyond the reach of early human settlement. The steep cliffs and isolated peaks that shaped the goat's evolution also protected it from widespread exploitation. Humans admired them from afar. Occasional hunters journeyed upward for meat or hide, but such encounters were rare, dictated by necessity rather than dominance. In these early eras, the relationship between people and mountain goats was defined mostly by distance. But as human civilization grew, the boundaries between the wild and the cultivated world began to shift. The mountains, once impenetrable barriers, became challenges to be conquered. Explorers, miners, loggers, and eventually tourists climbed higher into the Alpine kingdom, carving trails, building outposts, and leaving their mark on landscapes that had remained unchanged for millennia. What had once been a sanctuary gradually became a shared space, and with human presence came consequences. Among the earliest significant impacts was hunting. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, mountain goat populations in some regions were sharply reduced as trophy hunting increased. Hunters sought their striking white coats and impressive horns. Without regulation, local populations could decline rapidly, especially since goats reproduce slowly. Females typically give birth to only one kid each year. Fortunately, many regions eventually recognized this vulnerability and implemented strict hunting limits, allowing some populations to recover. But the legacy of unregulated hunting remains part of the species' modern challenges. Yet hunting is only one chapter in a broader story. As human infrastructure expanded into mountain ecosystems, new pressures emerged. Roads and recreational trails brought increased foot traffic into previously undisturbed territories. Ski resorts carved their way into alpine slopes, fragmenting habitat and disrupting natural movement patterns. Even activities that seem benign, such as hiking, photography, or wildlife viewing, can change goat behavior. Repeated human presence can push goats into less optimal feeding zones, increase stress during critical seasons, and alter their vigilance patterns in ways that reduce survival rates. In some areas, mountain goats have become unnervingly accustomed to humans. Salt, found in human sweat, urine, or even spilled food, attracts goats who seek minerals that are scarce in their natural diet. This curiosity has led to dangerous encounters, both for goats and people. Animals that lose their natural wariness may approach too closely, leading to conflicts that often end with the goats being relocated or euthanized. But the greatest long-term threat comes from a force far larger than any road or trail: climate change. Mountain goats depend on cold environments. Their thick coats, high-altitude lungs, and seasonal behaviors are finely tuned to life in the alpine world. As temperatures rise, the boundaries of their habitat shrink. Meadows dry earlier, reducing summer forage. Snowpacks melt faster, limiting the availability of water later in the season. Warmer winters bring more rain than snow, leading to layers of ice that seal away food beneath impenetrable crusts. In extreme years, entire herds may struggle to access the vegetation they need to survive. As vegetation shifts upslope with warming temperatures, mountain goats have fewer places to go. They are already near the peaks. Beyond these ridges lies only sky. In a warming world, the alpine zone, the only home these animals can thrive in, may simply disappear in some regions. This phenomenon, known as mountaintop extinction, poses a significant risk to any species confined to high elevations. Human activities also influence predator dynamics. In some areas, reduced wolf populations or altered hunting patterns have changed the natural balance of the ecosystem. Where predators are absent, goat populations may grow beyond the carrying capacity of their habitat, leading to overgrazing and further ecological degradation. In other places, human-subsidized predators, such as scavengers that thrive on garbage or hunting remains, may exert new pressures on goat herds. The intricate ecological roles mountain goats play become disrupted, cascading into broader environmental changes. Yet, amid these challenges, conservation efforts offer hope. Wildlife biologists, land managers, and indigenous communities across North America have worked tirelessly to protect mountain goats and the alpine ecosystems they inhabit. Modern regulations ensure that hunting, where allowed, is based on sustainable population models. Many regions implement strict quotas, lotteries, or complete closures when populations decline. These measures help maintain stable herds and protect vulnerable areas. Conservation groups monitor population health through aerial surveys, GPS tracking, and habitat assessments.
Their work identifies migration routes, birthing sites, and key feeding zones, information critical for shaping land use policies. In several places, restoration projects focus on reintroducing goats to areas where they were previously extirpated, often with encouraging results. Education also plays a vital role. Visitors to mountain regions are increasingly taught how to behave responsibly around wildlife, keeping a respectful distance, avoiding salt attractants, staying on designated trails, and recognizing the need to preserve fragile alpine environments. These simple behaviors reduce stress on goat populations and help maintain natural behaviors. Some of the most profound conservation guidance comes from indigenous communities who have lived alongside mountain goats for generations. Their knowledge, rooted in observation, tradition, and deep respect, offers insight into the goat's seasonal movements, habitat preferences, and long-term sustainability. Collaborations between indigenous experts and modern conservationists are helping shape more holistic and effective strategies for protecting both goats and their ecosystems. Still, the future of the mountain goat is uncertain. Their survival depends on vast, unbroken stretches of alpine wilderness, landscapes increasingly threatened by warming climates and expanding human development. Protecting these animals requires not only scientific research or policy changes, but a collective recognition that the highest places on our planet hold value beyond recreation or resource extraction. The story of the mountain goat is a reminder of the fragility of mountain ecosystems and the responsibility we share in preserving them. The cliffs, the wild winds, the snowfields, they belong not only to the goats, but to all life that depends indirectly on the stability of these environments.
In the end, the fate of this creature will depend not on its strength, but on ours.
High above the tree line, where the air thins and the world narrows into ridgelines and sky, the mountain goat stands as a quiet emblem of endurance. Few creatures dare to inhabit these near vertical kingdoms of stone and wind. Yet the goat has carved a life out of the impossible, defying gravity with every confident step. As we take one last look at their world, the message they leave behind is larger than granite cliffs or sweeping alpine horizons. It is a message about resilience, adaptation, and the delicate balance that governs life at the edge of survival. For thousands of years, mountain goats have thrived in places where most animals could not last the single day. Their lives unfold on cliffs so steep they seem like the skeletons of mountains, exposed and unforgiving. Here, storms gather without warning. Winters linger long after spring has arrived in the valleys below. Food hides beneath ice or grows in narrow cracks where soil is little more than dust. And yet, the mountain goat moves with a grace that appears almost serene. But their mastery of the vertical world is not born from ease. It is born from necessity, from evolution sculpted over millennia, from a life constantly negotiated with the mountain itself. Their hooves, split like precision tools, grip stone with uncanny accuracy. Their muscles coil like springs, ready to leap, pivot, and scale surfaces that seem beyond the limits of biology. Their thick coats guard against sub-zero winds, while their calm demeanor belies the razor-thin margins on which they survive. Every step is a calculation. Every movement is a choice between safety and risk. Yet, even in this environment shaped by danger, there is beauty, a rugged, quiet beauty that mountain goats help bring to life. Their presence animates the alpine cliffs. Their grazing maintains the delicate balance of vegetation that anchors thin soils. Their young, born on ledges few humans would dare to approach, remind us that life finds a way even in the harshest places. Their world is a world where survival is an art form, one that mountain goats have perfected. But as we step back from the high crags and frozen cirques,
a broader perspective emerges. The survival of mountain goats is intertwined with forces far beyond their ancient domain. The climate is shifting. Seasons come sooner or later than before. Snowpacks melt unpredictably. And with rising temperatures, tree lines inch upward, slowly squeezing the open alpine spaces that goats depend on. Even here, in landscapes that seem eternal, change is unfolding at a pace too fast for these quiet climbers. Human presence also echoes higher into the mountains than ever before, through recreation, development, and tourism. Trails reach where none existed. Noise interrupts the silence that once defined the peaks, and the fragile connection between mountain goats and their environment becomes increasingly strained. Yet, it is not a story of hopelessness. It is a story that reveals just how much difference human choices can make. In regions where conservation efforts are strong, mountain goat populations have stabilized or recovered. Protected areas preserve the integrity of their vertical refuges. Responsible tourism and education programs have reduced human-wildlife conflicts. Research has deepened our understanding of their needs, guiding better management practices. These successes show that when we listen, truly listen to the land and its inhabitants, coexistence becomes possible. Mountain goats are more than symbols of wilderness. They are reminders of the resilience that exists in nature and of the fragility that accompanies it. Their survival depends on the continuity of ecosystems that have balanced themselves over thousands of years. And those ecosystems now depend, at least in part, on us. As we reflect on their story, one truth becomes clear. Life on the mountaintop is not defined by height, but by harmony. Mountain goats do not conquer the cliffs out of dominance. They inhabit them out of understanding. They live with the mountain, not against it. Their existence is a dialogue, a conversation between creature and landscape, between instinct and environment. Perhaps that is the lesson they offer us. In a world that often rushes forward, mountain goats show the strength of slowing down, of choosing carefully, of finding balance even where the path is narrow. They remind us that survival is not about power, but about adaptability, awareness, and respect for the terrain beneath our feet, literal or metaphorical. Imagine standing at the edge of a high ridge as the sun sets, painting the peaks in gold. A mountain goat's silhouette appears against the horizon, sure-footed and steady, moving with the confidence of countless generations that came before. In that moment, the mountain feels alive, not as an obstacle, but as a home, a place where life persists in ways both humble and extraordinary. As the wind sweeps across the summit and the daylight fades, their world sinks into silence again. A silence that has defined these heights for ages, a silence that carries wisdom if we choose to hear it. The documentary closes, but the mountain story continues. The goats will wake with the dawn, take their places on the cliffs, and continue a cycle older than human memory. Their journey, etched into stone and sky, invites us to look upward, to appreciate not only the grandeur of mountain landscapes, but the delicate threads of life that hold them together. And in their quiet endurance, we find hope. Hope that the world's most fragile ecosystems can survive. Hope that ancient species can persist. And hope that humanity can learn to protect the spaces where wildness still flourishes.
The masters of the vertical world remain, poised on the edge of the impossible, reminding us that even in the harshest environments, life not only survives, it flourishes